Guys, I hate winter so much. It's free. I haven't even started shooting and my hands are already just numb. My nose is running like a faucet. There's also no one here. Like, no one. It's kind of like a ghost town at the range right now. I mean, I have a class that I'm teaching later, so I know there will be people here eventually because I know that there are people signed up. But right now, it's dead here. It's so quiet. On the bright side, I can film without having to edit my sound because now you guys can hear me. There aren't gunshots that I have to edit my voice over, which is pretty nice. Anyways, today's video, again, just getting some practice in. I'm going to be talking about balance and how to be yourself, not just in this sport, but in anything that you choose to do within your life. I don't know how much you guys know about me. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably know a little bit more. But I am in grad school. Shooting is not my full-time job or gig by any means. In fact, what I do make from it, that just goes right back into the sport. I was an instructor for a little bit, decided it was not necessarily what I wanted to do. I wanted to compete still, but instructing kind of took the joy out of it for me. I still do it part-time, just kind of on my own terms, just privately. But that's not what I do full-time. I'm not on any, I have sponsors and I have people that I shoot for, but I'm not on any specific shooting team. I'm in grad school. I work a bunch of other different jobs, kind of more related to my degree and the field of research I'm trying to go into. So I love the sport, but it's not what I do full time. But just because it's not what I do full time doesn't mean I don't put the work into it that I want to put into it. And that doesn't mean I don't have goals either. That's a lot of double negatives, but hopefully you guys understand what I am trying to say. So when I did start competitive shooting, it was during my last year of undergrad. So it was 2 years ago? Almost 3 years ago? I graduated in the winter. That's what makes it. Yeah, I graduated undergrad 2 years ago. So it was about 2.5 years ago when I started competitively shooting. And at that time, I was still kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I knew what my interests were, but I also had found so much joy and personal recovery from some other things within shooting that I was like, let me just try this out and see if this is a path I want to go down. So I practiced a lot, trained really, really hard, worked my way up to become an instructor pretty much. And I knew my limits. I knew what I could teach, what I couldn't teach. And I was like, let me see if this is something I want to do full time. Took a gap semester before grad school, and I learned a lot about myself during that semester. I love helping people, and I love seeing the look on people's faces when they shoot a gun for the first time or when they do something they genuinely didn't think that they could do. But after a while, it always felt like I was trying to prove myself in the instructor world, and competition is healthy. Like, I'm a very competitive person, but it kind of, again, took that joy away. And then anytime I was training, I wasn't really training for myself. And the whole reason I got into this sport was because it was for myself. It was something that pulled me out of a pretty dark time a little while ago, and I missed shooting for the joy of it. So stopped instructing full time. I kept a few of my students, and I just kind of, whenever I have a free moment, we'll come out and shoot and everything. Or if I have a chance to teach like a short class or something, I'll do it. But not full time anymore. It's maybe like once, twice a month. That all being said, I still love sharing knowledge and stuff that I have learned along the way, things that I wish I had knew during my journey, in hopes that maybe it'll help some of you guys out. So that's kind of why I kept on doing the social media thing. That was never something I intended to do necessarily. It just started off as, hey, let's share what Grace is doing. And then it just kind of kept on growing slowly, despite the shadow bans. It is a very, very slow growth, we will say that. But started growing slowly. I'd get DMs from people thanking me for like posting my journey, showing that it's okay to be a beginner, showing it's okay to, as you progress, make mistakes and everything. So I kind of wanted to keep on doing that, and that's what kind of led to the start of this YouTube channel a couple years later, was all of you guys that reached out to me, so thank you. I guess after all that rambling, the purpose of the channel and just my social media in general is showing that you can do it all. You don't have to do just one thing in your life, and whatever you do, be yourself when you are doing it. So when it comes to shooting, there are people that want to do it just because it's fun. They don't care about their placement. There are other people that is all they care about, and both of those are just fine. I found that when I first started shooting and I was kind of trying to discover myself in a way, figure out what I wanted out of this sport, I was looking for something competitive because I had a competitive thing taken away from me due to some medical issues, and I was like, I need something, I need an outlet, and I found that in shooting, and it turned into me wanting to be competitive in the sport, work my way up, and be someone that other shooters can look up to and recognize. But during that realization, I also, after all that instructing stuff, and when I decided that wasn't for me, I realized that because I wanted to continue doing my schooling, I wanted to go do the research that I want to do, create the things I want to create, and that was something I was not willing to give up for shooting. So I had to manage my expectations and tell myself, hey, I can still do this. I can still be a badass shooter. I can go to these huge competitions. I can train. I can be good and have a high expectation of myself, but also manage it because I know that there are other priorities in my life that I am wanting to accomplish, and those priorities are okay for me to want to accomplish. We all have reasons for things, and I think the biggest thing that got me wanting to find more of a balance was I had gotten into grad school and I was extremely excited, and I was going around telling everybody, and one person said to me, why the heck would you want to do that? And it kind of crushed me because I had worked so hard. And this was back when I was working in the instructing industry. And I was like, because I want to. It's what I want, and that's okay. And I don't know, that one moment I kind of boil everything down to is like, I don't need to justify my reasons for doing anything. I can do it because I want to. I can come be a good shooter because I want to. I can go be a good student because I want to. I can go be a strength and conditioning coach because I want to. All these things I can do because those are what my goals are, and then it becomes my job to prioritize them, not anyone else's job, despite what anybody else says. Fuck nuggets, it's cold. Y'all ever get so cold that it's like whenever you touch anything, it feels like it's burning your hand? That's what it feels like. Anyways, continuing. I'm a very competitive person. I'm not doing this sport just to do it. I am doing it because I want to, grow in it and become someone that's really, really good in it. That being said, I've also had to manage my expectations because I'm in school and because I have other goals. And so I know my improvement here is not going to be nearly as fast as someone else's improvement who can give their full time and energy to this, because that's what they want. That's their goal. I want a lot of different things, and because of that, I need to manage my expectations, and that's okay. And a lot of my frustration early on came from people making it feel like it wasn't okay. Like if I wanted to do this, I couldn't be in school or something. And I was like, no, this is what I want. And I'm a firm believer in where there's a will, there's a way. So I'm going to find a way to make this happen. Might take a longer timetable, might be a little bit more chaotic than some other people's, and that's totally fine. And so this is going for all of you that I've heard in comments or DMs or just in person, if I've met you, say to me, I'm afraid to start or I'm afraid to keep going because I'm so busy. Busy is okay. You don't have to justify anything. If you're busy, then you're busy. That's fine. Give what you're able to give. And if there's a certain point where you can't give something at that moment, that's totally fine. That is your life, and you're the one who manages your own expectations. And at the end of the day, like I said, where there's a will, there's a way. If you want it bad enough, you will find a way to make it happen. So I will give an example of finding the balance. I'm in my master's program currently. I just got into my PhD program, so very excited. But I had a thesis proposal that was due last week, and my dumb butt decided to change my entire topic with a month and a half left until it was due. And keep in mind, on this proposal, I had already spent about 6 months working on it. So I basically had to do 6-7 months of work in 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So that was dumb on my end. But it happened, and that kind of changed the course of my shooting for a little bit. So a couple weeks ago, I did not touch my gun for 2 weeks because my priorities at that moment in time had changed. The proposal was my goal because that was for school. At that moment in time, that took higher priority than shooting, and that was okay. And old Grace would have felt guilty for not having touched her gun, and part of me still did a little bit. I was like, I feel like I could have found another way, but I didn't, and that's okay because I knew I was putting all my focus and energy into that proposal, and it got done, and it was really, really good. Had I ignored the proposal and gone to shooting, had my priorities mixed up, proposal probably would not have gone as well, and I would have had to spend more time in the long run working on it. So it's okay to have your priorities shift and change. Now that that's over and we're in winter, the proposal is still a pretty big thing. Or not, I got the proposal done. The thesis itself, running it, piloting it, making sure everything is fine, that's still great. And I still need to focus on that. But now that I have a little bit more time during break, I can focus on this right now. And then over break, when I'm done with this, I will go back to focusing on my lit review. And then once the semester starts back up, we will, or not my lit review, you guys know what I'm trying to say. My brain is right now. Once the semester starts back up, those priorities change a little bit. So it's okay to have multiple things going on, even though we tend to see only shooting happening in people's lives sometimes. All right, well, it's getting cold, and Grace cannot multitask, so I'm going to wrap up this little soapbox dealio and warm my hands up and get back to practicing before class. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is you be yourself. Do the sport for whatever reason you want to do the sport, and that goes with anything in life. If you have multiple things going on, that's okay. Just manage your expectations, and where there's a will, there's a way. You will find a way to get it done if you want it bad enough. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much else to say. I know this is something that I want, and so I'm going to organize my life in a way to where I can do it all. And now I'm currently in the focus of, okay, how do I get enough sleep while doing this? So that has become a focus. I know many people think I don't sleep because I don't. We're working on that. So don't push yourself to breaking necessarily, but know that it's okay to have multiple interests, multiple goals, as long as you know how to manage your expectations, and know that if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to get it. I'm going to warm my hands up in practice. You guys got it. Never quit. Where there's a will, there's a way. Be tenacious, be gritty. We'll see you guys next week. I don't know what to do with my hands.